Yo, what's up, everybody? How you doing? This is your coach Rans, and welcome to Deconstructing Christianity. And tonight we are going to talk about what I believe to be a new discovery. Did they find the halls of Amenti? Will be our discussion tonight. We give about 5 minutes for people to get on. But if you're finding the show for the very first time, what we do on this channel is deconstruct Christianity, but to help others who have decided to take that journey, but also just to make ourselves better. We often do get distractors on here, but that's okay. They're always handled. And yeah, so we're going to have a good conversation tonight. I look forward to the conversation tonight. It's a little bit of a different conversation. We will talk a little bit about the emerald tablets of Thoth, as well as the actual emerald tablets and the Corpus Hermeticum, and what have they discovered? What have they truly discovered, if anything? But I will start out by saying that the jury is still out. There's still a lot of information that has to be, a lot of things they still have to look up, have to research, have to go do. It's going to be a while before we truly know what is underneath the pyramids. Yeah, so it is a new discovery. Somebody had just said that earlier on a previous video, that was an old information, but not necessarily. It's old and new. It's old and I will go through some of what I think that they may have meant by that. But like I said, we're just giving about 5 minutes for people to get on. If you're on here, just so I know that everything is being received well. If you're on Facebook, give me a shout out. We broadcast on Facebook and YouTube only. But I always want to make sure by seeing some comments as to whether or not everything is tracking accordingly, everything is working properly. It appears so thus far. All right, what's up, Sean? Good. Tim, good. So Facebook and YouTube is working properly. We're good to go. Good to go on this Monday, this wonderful Monday. I don't know how you guys' weather's temperatures. You know, I'm big about my little weather. We had a great 90-degree day here, and I think it was 90 today. It was up there around 90 degrees today. Said high 80s. It's 90 tomorrow. Yeah. Ooh, 93 tomorrow. It's hot. It's hot. Gotta rock out you can find it in the descriptions of the videos that I post on the daily, as well on the description of the channel, where you can get the merchandise for the Lion Ass Liar and all other merchandise. Sean said you've been looking forward to it. I'm glad you've been looking forward to it. Glad. Yeah, I mean, my feeds on all my channels were just inundated with information about this. So I was like, let me go and do some. I already knew certain things from the past, and I was like, let me go see what's going on. So I went looking to find out all the info of what was going on with this Lidar discovery that they had. Sorry, my workspace just got too many moving parts around here. Things aren't organized. It looks shambles. But yeah, it was a lot. It was interesting. And of course, I saw Joe Rogan talking about it, and I was like, okay, I'm pretty sure some bullshit about what he posted and said about it. My desk is just a little disorganized, so I gotta organize it for a little bit. It's killing me. All right, that's better. I can function. Do I debate? I don't like debates. It depends on what you mean by debate. Do I let people come onto this show and state there and we, have a little conversation? Sure. The LIDAR stuff wasn't 2 years ago. Well, it might have been 2 years ago that they did it, maybe. I didn't see anything that said that it was 2 years ago. But don't jump ahead. Don't jump ahead. Stop jumping ahead, Tim. But I do debate to a certain degree. You can come on the show and talk. And we can have conversations. But so it's been over 5 minutes. Time to get started. So welcome to Deconstructing Christianity. I'm your host, your guide, your coach, Renz. And tonight we're going to be talking about what is new to me, maybe not to Tim, but what is new to me, which is this new LIDAR information that people are losing their shits and giggles over concerning it. The question of tonight will be, did they find the halls of Amenti? Did they find the halls of Amenti? That's the question of the night. So that's what we want to know. Is that what they found? These halls? And we'll discuss more about that as we go. So what had happened was that back in 2008, at least from some of the information that I was able to research and find, back in 2008, there were some Egyptologists who discovered underneath in and around the tomb of the birds, that there were tunnels and caverns up under the pyramids, the Giza plateau. And although other information had previously shown that there were other spaces within the Great Pyramid, there's an upper gallery from the normal gallery, from the King's Gallery, but they're underneath the Great Pyramids, and underneath the plateau in itself, where there are multiple other monuments that most people don't think about or talk about, that they already had previously found tunnels back in 2008. Now, they got to a certain depth of those tunnels and realized that the air was not healthy and that the terrain was very dangerous. And this information was reported back to the authorities of Egypt. But the problem, as always, with the Egyptian authorities, is that they did a little bit of excavation and then they shut it down. They put fences up and they shut it down. So from satellite imagery, and I put this picture up here so that you can fully understand and appreciate, this is not what they found directly under the pyramid, one of the pyramids. I know you guys have probably seen where people are posting this imagery, but they're putting these coils directly under the pyramids, but the actual spacing is off to the side of the pyramids, underneath some of the other tombs and construction that's in that area. So I didn't want you guys thinking that it was directly under the pyramids, because that's how a lot of these images have started to come across. So even when you look at this one, no, not that one, at this one, this one to the far right, it shows columns underneath the pyramid itself. That's not the space that they were, that the satellites were penetrating. It was off to the right, in front of it. Now, what these images have shown is, when you see the yellows and the dark reds, then let me make sure I got it right. Yeah, the yellows and the dark reds, those are, so when LIDAR hits the ground, the speed by which it travels, the sound waves travel, that's how they determine what materials they're hitting. And Tim, Tim said it was Greek and Italian and Greek. It was, and also the Japanese. There was a Japanese scientist who was also involved. Oh, it was Italian and Greeks back in 2008. Yes, if that's what you're talking about, back in 2008. In this new research, it was I recall seeing that it was a Japanese scientist who was in charge, who led it. But so when you see the reds and the yellows, this is where it hits thicker earthen material. And based on the rate of speed that the sound waves travel, um, it allows you, we're able to tell what's underneath the ground. So it's a very non-invasive way of seeing what's in the ground. This is how they have been finding ancient civilizations all in South America and Central America, because through that the jungle has overgrown so much that this allows for them to see all. We've been able to find a lot of ancient um, Mesoamerican civilizations because of lidar. So lidar is really helping a lot. So the blue spaces is empty space, is what they believe to be empty space. Now, because they've seen this L shape, if you look in the red box, you see that L shape of red. That's what made them start thinking that this may not be uh, natural, because nature doesn't necessarily create shapes like that, especially when dealing with rock formations. And then looking at the empty space, they start to see other patterns that could indicate some type of tower effect. This is why when people have created these images of the towers with spooling looking staircases in and around them. And so the thought process is that underneath the Giza plateau is some underground system of caverns, space, used for, and we don't know what they use for. I no idea what they were used for. This stuff is ongoing. I literally contemplated not talking about it because it's just too damn early. Because everything is going to be speculation. And then I thought, because of reading Maurice Doreal's Emerald Tablets of Thoth, but more importantly, reading the Hermeticum, the Corpus Hermeticum, the the Sectaria Sectorium, which is the secret of secrets, and reading a lot of the other ancient books, books and manuscripts that date back to the earliest dates back to 1 BCE. Most of it is 5th, 6th century. And then the Corpus Hermeticum and all that is like middle ages. So it's like a 14th, 15th century time frame. And then, of course, Doreal's is a 1900 writing. And then one of my favorite book, The Kabbalion. So in those writings, one of the things that it talks about. Now, I need to be clear here. Let me be clear. The halls of Amenti are spoken of in Egyptian, in the Kemetic religion. So you can go back to the Book of the Dead, and you can go back beyond the Corpus Hermeticum and the halls of Amenti. They were made more famous in recent time frames with Doreal's Emerald Tablets, the Emerald Tablets from Thoth the Atlantean. So there's some antiquity to it as far as people writing about it. People like Aristotle wrote about it. Plato wrote about it. You got, who else was I thinking about? Dean. I was going to say James Dean. John Dees wrote about it. Lorenzo Medici and his father Cosimo Medici wrote about it. So you got a lot of people who wrote about it. Tim, people keep saying this, that Thoth said that it was under the Sphinx. I went back and I scoured through the Emerald Tablets, and at no point did I see where Thoth said it was under the Sphinx. And maybe I missed it, but in tablet number two, Thoth says that the halls of Amenti were deep in the earth, and the first entryway was in Atlantis. And But once Atlantis was destroyed and he flew over to the land of Kim, and once he got them squared away, he blasted his way down to the halls of Amenti deep in the earth. But it says that then he built the pyramids. Once he got deep enough to it, he built the pyramids above it. I didn't see where it says that in the Emerald Tablets that it was under the Sphinx. And okay, now hold on, bro. When does the Enuma Elish talk about the Sphinx? I don't recall the Enuma Elish talking about the Sphinx at all. And I could be wrong, but I just don't recall any of that. Because the Enuma Elish is the Sumerian story. I don't remember them talking about the Sphinx. So the halls of Amenti is supposed to be where the dweller lives. It is supposed to be this place. This okay. So let me categorize it correctly. So the halls of Amenti, as far as the Kemetic story is concerned, the halls of Amenti is where you go for 3 days, and after you die on Earth, and in those 3 days, you are faced and challenged with all your fears. This is where the gods of the underworld and all the judges of the underworld live, and it is in the halls of Amenti where uh, Anubis and the judges determine whether or not you are qualified based on your heart measurement against the feather of Mayat to be able to skip your little butt on over into the field of reeds, the field of reeds to live with Asar in heaven for the rest of your life, still doing kind of what you did on earth. Now, yeah, that's the flower of life pattern that's in the picture. That's the halls of Amenti for the Kemetic story, for the most part. For the Atlantean story, according to Doreal, the halls of Amenti is the place where you go, or those who have risen above to the level of adept or better, is a place that is between space time that allows you to be unfeathered by this world and obtain knowledge so that you can come back and help humanity. So, and that's the short version of it. Uh, if you read tablet number 2, I mean, the halls of Amenti is spoken in most of the tablets, but in tablet number 2 is spoken of even more so. So that's pretty much what the halls of Amenti is. It's either a place of facing your fears, and you can see this the commonality. It's pretty much a place where you face your fears to see if you can ascend to the higher planes of consciousness. In the Egyptian higher plane of consciousness, you would go and live in heaven, their version of heaven. In the Atlantean version, you would then become a helper of man. So yes, that's the halls of Amenti that are spoken of in general. Now, I would say that you should go and research this stuff yourself. Yes, thank you, Albert. That's supposedly under the Sphinx is where Thoth hid his spaceship. Now, of course, I don't believe any of this stuff is real as far as that. I mean, I let me put it like this. Do I think that the Kemetic, that whoever designed and built the Giza Plateau in its original state could have had temples that they built thinking they're building the halls of Amenti, and or these are just ancient pillars like Karnak, and they just been buried over the eons. I'm more than likely thinking these have just been buried over the eons, and that it was some temples and things of that nature. That's what I'm putting my money on. What we will eventually find out is that they either were underground temples or temples that got buried, but they may relate to some of their ancient stories of the Hall of Amenti. Um, but the beauty of it all is that we're finding out that there's stuff under these structures that is just not what we see above. We're actually being able to do it because the Egyptian, they have been rather asholish about allowing for continued excavation. So, let me just see. Yeah, you take a shovel over there, you going to jail. And of course, this is fueling fueling the fires of all the ideas about the aliens. That this structure, it is already now. I do think that the pyramids were built as a power source. That some ancient culture prior to the last ice age built them and had a form of free electricity. I mean, and it's not based on belief; it's based on the fact that this is what Tesla used in order to build his tower, and it worked perfectly for producing free electricity. That civilization was pretty much destroyed by the last ice age, and the now we don't know. When it was refound, rediscovered, they didn't know what the hell they had. And then they built to utilize that same type of idea to say, oh, these must have been tombs. So we're gonna build some other ones that are nowhere near as good a construction as the original, the Giza plateau. And they built it and they started utilizing making it for tombs. So, but I am really curious to see and hear what you guys got to think about it. But the alien people are really like, oh yeah, the aliens built that shit. Let me see. Let me see. Let me see. The one thing that now I do find that there are some amazing things about the pyramids, like the way sound works inside of these pyramids are amazing. Um, if you want to, if you like music, it is the most. Oh, somebody said something about that. Has and I think Schumann, is he the one who made the flute recording? But it is the most amazing acoustics inside the pyramids. Most amazing inside the Great Pyramid. I can't sing, but damn it, I sound good. I sound better in there. It has the most amazing acoustics. And this is why, okay, so this is why I always tell people when they ask me about the hermetics, not the hermetics, about the emerald tablets, I often tell them to go read the Secrets of Secrets or go to the Hermetic Corpus Hermeticum because Doreal, he got that Jim Jones, Joseph Smith kind of thing to me going on. But this is absolutely, I only read the first line of it, but I know the rest of it's probably right. And oh, wow, it might be time to change my contacts. But he said, we know Maurice Doreal was a former Rosicrucian and attempted to start his own esoteric order, the Brotherhood of the White Lodge, which is still around, the Brotherhood of the White Lodge. He wrote the Emerald Tablets of Thoth, the Atlantean, during the 1920s and incorporated some of the Rosicrucian tenets along with the ancient alien conspiracies into the text. I suspect that his misinterpretation of the Hermetica, allegorical initiation ceremony and death and rebirth, was the source of his claim of Thoth spaceship being housed under the Great Pyramid of Giza. And I have often suspected that in his writing, most of what he was writing, and I agree with everything that Andrew just put up here. This is why you have to know the author before you read something because they're going to be taken from different things, and a lot of what he wrote comes from all the writings of the Arabic Hermeticism, back from the 6th century, from the Corpus Hermeticum of the, which is in Latin. Most of all that's in Latin. The Secret of Secrets, all those ancient Hermetic writings, he definitely pulled from and kind of created his own and put it together. Not saying that it definitely has to be incorrect, but he added some. You got to add some flash to it. You got to add something that's going to intrigue people. But yes, the Tesla talked about the Egyptian harnessing energy for us for use. Mm-hmm. Yeah, and J.P. Morgan defunded his ass as soon as he realized he was trying to give it away to people for free. He was like, if we can't put a meter on it, we can't sell it. Now, some of most the people who jump to aliens or jump to slaves, incorrect. The Egyptians show that not for the pyramids on the Giza plateau, but for other pyramid structures um, around Egypt, that those were highly skilled paid workers who often receive great burials because they were highly skilled paid workers who built their temples and built the other pyramids. The only thing is they don't show the construction of the Giza plateau. At least the three pyramids on the pyramids on the Giza plateau. But as I said before, those are older than our more recent civilizations in Kemet. Stupid. Some diamond tip chicken bones. But so now that they've done this, do you guys think that they're going to allow more excavation? That's one question. Are they going to allow more excavation? Two, there have been many people who have often before now for hundreds of years, Herodotus talked about the fact that there were underground, and this is, you got to think way back in Herodotus' day, he was saying that there were underground caverns and rooms and pretty much the whole underground city. There were many other people throughout history who said there were underground cities on there. And in the Emerald Tablets of Doreal, Doreal's Emerald Tablet, he speaks of not only of Thoth's ship being under the Sphinx, but he was saying that under the pyramids was a city that is 8 miles by 8 miles, right? Does this lend any credibility to Doreal's Emerald Tablets in stating that there's this 8 by 8 mile city under the Giza plateau? You know, um, because we know Doreal, he claimed that he went to Egypt, but if you research him, he has never been to Egypt. There's no evidence of him ever traveling to Egypt. Now, were the records of the 1920s as accurate as the records that we have today? No, they didn't have a computer database that they were keeping track of who flew to where. Nowadays, you can go back probably to the 70s of tracking someone's flights, but there's no evidence that Doreal ever actually went to Egypt. So, but you can't, that's a little hard. But anyhow, Doreal wrote some stuff. Now he could have just been copying off of the fact that the Corpus Hermeticum and Herodotus and some of these other people who said that there were cities up under there, that there was space up under there, that there were caverns, and he just expanded it to a whole city level. Um, there's this conspiracy theory. I just popped in my head. I completely forgot about it. There was a conspiracy theory that I believe it was Paramount was doing this series back in the 70s, I think. Somebody was doing a series back in the 70s. They got to a certain part underneath the, usually underneath the Sphinx or the pyramid, where there was this door that had a pretty much a force field type of effect. And they saw the gateway to this underground city, but then the Egyptian authorities shut them down, and the tapes were lost and all this sort of thing. Has anybody ever heard of something like that? Because I remember hearing about some kind of conspiracy theory like that 20, 30 years ago. Am I the only one who heard that one? Well, the conspiracy, I don't know if this is in reference to what I was saying. The conspiracy is the fact that the government came and the Egyptian government shut them down, and then because the 20th Century Fox or Paramount, whoever it was, they had paid off the government $1 million, and it was all this money exchange and all that kind of stuff. Okay, so I'm not the only one who heard of that before. Okay. Okay, I see what you're saying, Maestro. Okay. Well, they wanted that theory. There's a theory out there. Yeah, the ads on YouTube, you might miss like 30 seconds. You forgot the name, but they found the entrance near the tomb of the birds. That are you talking about the people in 2008? I know the people in 2008, that's the entrance. From what I read over the last few days, there was an entryway at the tomb of the birds that some people had found, an entryway, and then when they saw that the air was starting to make them feel sick and the terrain was too dangerous, they pulled back, and then now there's just a gate there that they don't let anybody go down there. You say there's a tunnel that leads to the Hall of Knowledge, that they stopped them. Yeah, and here's the thing. I'm down with the idea that if they found the entryway to a hall of knowledge, the government of Egypt would shut them down. What do they what are they trying to hide? Why I think humans we're I know humans as a group are dumb animals, but let me choose for myself. 3 months have gone by, you have not changed. What do you have to say for yourself? Any last words for God judges you? Yes. Fuck your God. That's my last words. What is that? Oh, I've been praying. Have you been praying for me for 3 days? Have you been praying for me for 3 days and that I would change? Because if you have, your prayers don't work. Stupid people. Yep. Sometimes I wake up and choose violence. But anyway. Okay, yeah, that was 2008. Yeah. Hold on. There might be, wait, for my YouTube people, y'all hold on for 1 second. I think I can change how often ads pop up. Let me see here. Hopefully that, yeah. At least I had some level of control over that. So you should see less ads on Facebook. Where are we? Where are we? Where are we? Where are we? But how many of you guys think that aliens built the pyramids? How many of you guys think that the pyramids were built in our more recent history of man, prior to the last ice age? And who thinks that the pyramids were built prior to the last ice age? Just curious. It's all curiosity. So what I think they find is more of the same religious mojo, just deeper levels that would further confuse not just archaeology, but civilization as a whole. I do think there will be a concerted effort to try to hide anything that could destroy any of the major religions today, and to find out that their religions don't work or not as valid would be something that they would try to keep, especially when you're looking at the Islam. Question: do you ever take off your hat online? Sure. Hi, how you doing? Well, you thought it was going to be receded back there or something? uh, uh, anyway, so you said Ray says prior to the last ice age. Okay. Say I don't know. Definitely before Kemet. Definitely not aliens. Okay. Eric says he just doesn't think they were built by aliens. Hey, flying spaghetti monster on Saturn built the pyramids. Now, this is one of those things that you have to take in consideration. None of the great pyramids were built for pharaohs. They never found a mummy in them. There's no writings in there that would indicate who they were built for, or usually in every other time frame where there was a pyramid that was built with a sarcophagus, it had told you who it was and who it was for. Have you ever heard of Aleister Crowley? Yes, I have. The most evil man in America. All right, here we go. Julie says she definitely believes that either aliens did the pyramids or the people back then had technology that we don't have right now. I don't think any aliens did it. I'm more back to pre-ice age. We don't. There's nothing. There's no indication that in the last 12,000 years that there was a technology that was on Earth, that they had on Earth, that they were able to do this kind of thing. I think the people for the last 12,000 years just found it, but it was a civilization prior to the last ice age. So that puts them like 40, 50,000 years ago that built it. And in order for them to do what I think they were able to do, they were closer to being a first world civilization. And a first world civilization is when you know how to harness the earth energy to utilize so that it's that blue energy, when you can harness the energy of volcanoes and oceans, and well beyond what we do as far as wind turbines and rivers, because that's a bunch of bullshit that we doing. We actually use more petroleum to run a wind farm than the uh, than the energy that is producing. And they certainly understood more about frequency and energy than we did. You sound like that pastor that I did on my video. He said, giants built the pyramids. Noah's flood killed them. The last giants were taken down by David. Satan tried to corrupt the bloodline, knowing Jesus would one day be born into the world to save us. What's your proof that giants built the pyramids? You got to have some proof that the giants built the pyramids. Otherwise, you're just talking trash. But I mean, that's what most religious people, they come from a point of belief. They have no facts to back up anything they say. It's all just purely belief. There were no giants. You know, the earth could not support humanoid giants. The three cube law? Nothing over 8 feet. Is it 8 feet or 9 feet? I think 8 feet is the highest that any body on earth could, a human body, a human like body could ever hold. But giants building it, she must have heard that pastor that I found that was talking about the giants built it, and then because they came and taught man the mysticism that they weren't supposed to know, the fallen angels. So here's the question for that believer that was on there. According to your Jesus character, Jesus said that the angels in heaven aren't given into marriage. The way that you get married to somebody is to have sex with them. So how could the fallen angels come down and have sex and marry the daughters of men if angels can't have sex? So you saying that angels got ping pings in, so angels up there pissing in heaven. Now, what would be the cause for you to say that, Chris Fisher? I mean, and you very well could be correct, even though we know for a fact that there are some caverns under this pyramid. We've known that since at least 2008, when the last time somebody went under the the Giza plateau. So for you to say that just has to be out of pure ignorance. Like you woke up and chose ignorance today, because we know that there is structures under there. The LIDAR just allows for deeper penetration to see further than the people in 2008 was able to go before they started realizing how unsafe it was to go down there. So you say people believe dumb shit, but you're not accepting the fact that people in 2008 went under them. So what is your motivation for that, Chris Fisher? And somebody said something about some wrestlers. I used to be a big wrestling fan. Andre the Giant, Big Show, Kane, Undertaker, the Giant Collie built the pyramids. Exactly. Exactly. You heard that they incarnated as humans before they got the shakalaka boom boom. So I'm an angelic being, I'm a higher being, and I'm gonna incarnate as a human just so I can go get some poom poom. Well, if you've been living for billions of years with this God and you ain't got none ever, because there are no women angels up there, obviously, because every angel that's ever named is a dude. I'm just saying. Pastor pissing. Yeah, they pissing in heaven. They got penises. They must be pissing in heaven if they coming down and having sex with the women. Oh, y'all going too fast. So angels kissing in heaven, that explains the rain. There's nothing has to do with energy or power. That's what I'm saying. Okay, but that's not what you expressed. I can only take what you type. If you don't type anything, if what you type is there ain't nothing under there, people just going for dumb, people believe anything, then that's all we have to go by. Oh, yeah. Angels are pissing in heaven. That explains the rain. Hey man, I used to play in the rain, so you messing me up on that one. Does anybody else find it weird how much the creator of the entire universe cares what we do with our genitalia? That's because he's a creeper. Their God is a sexual creeper. The God of the Bible is a sexual creeper. And Alana, just because you post Genesis 6, verse 4, that there were giants in the earth in those days, and after that, when the sons of God came into the daughters of men, they bore children. So your angels got dicks, Alana. So when you go to heaven, you're gonna get you some angel ping ping. And just because your Bible says it, that's not proof. Proof is not your Bible said so. If that's the case, then every religion is proof. Well, so the reason why people accept that the pyramids produced electricity is because the inner workings of the pyramids are exactly what Tesla utilized at his Niagara Tower. Also, the Nile River used to be 8 miles over, closer, right by the pyramids, and there is an underwater aquifer under there. So, by mimicking the exact same thing that Tesla mimicked, the exact same thing he saw in Egypt with the Great Pyramids, and it produced electricity. So that is the rationale behind the idea that it produced electricity, and the fact that it was covered with white alabaster, I believe, or limestone, sorry, and it had a gold cap in order to send it out. So that is the rationale for it. If Tesla had never done that, it is unlikely that people would be accepting of that theory. But since Tesla expressly demonstrated it first and then said where he got the idea from, that's the reason. But because it produces free electricity, JP Morgan then defunded him and then they trashed his whole career. Now, I don't think any time frame of our recorded history, so from the last 12,000 BCE till now, that any of those people were using it as a power plant. I'm saying 50,000 years ago when it was built, but not the people from the 18th dynasty, none of those pharaohs, not the Kushites, none of they happened upon and found this. Oh shit, look at this big pyramid thing in like 8,000 and 9,000 BCE and didn't know what the hell it was. And that's why they destroyed it for the most part. They took all the limestone off, they took the gold cap, to them it was, oh, look at this big old piece of rocks here, this big thing. But I think it gave them inspiration for developing their society, because then they tried to replicate pyramids, and the pyramids that are younger than the Giza pyramid structure are not as well built. But just like anything, you see something and you're like, damn, somebody's going to become inspired, and somebody's going to start figuring things out. Somebody's going to walk it, they're going to measure it, they're going to see how it's the golden mean and the golden ratio and all these other things. And somebody's going to be sitting there and going to see how it lined up with, star constellations. And over time, your sciences grow. Now, I'm not 100% sure that now the Baghdad battery that has proven to work, but the Baghdad battery doesn't have nothing to do with the pyramid itself. But the Baghdad battery has proven itself to work to produce electricity, to produce light. Actually, you know what messed up the steam car in the 1990s? If it wasn't for uh, the automatic starter and it utilizing gasoline, and gasoline was a dumped product from petroleum. If there was a way that they would have created a interior and electric starter without using gasoline, we probably still would be using steam cars. Y'all typing so damn fast, I'm missing half the shit y'all saying. But yes, we don't always get to go forward in technology. There's not a steady stream of forwardness when it comes to technology. Money and greed and power oftentimes get in the way. So um, whenever they did have the Baghdad battery, you would think that from that somehow that would have become popularized within their cultures back in the day. But I wonder why the Baghdad battery didn't inspire a growth in the use of electricity. What? Okay. Drew, we're going to settle this once and for all. The earth is flat. So that's how Enoch walked off of it. The giants of the old are the wrestlers of today, hidden in plain sight. Beerus and created the pyramids with Grand Zeno. And lastly, the two witnesses at the end are Goku and I don't know who, Vegeta. Shit, no more conspiracy. This is why I can't see y'all stupid. Y'all stupid. Ah, but yes, that's where Tesla got his idea from. J.P. Morgan suppressed it and defunded Tesla. Um, even and not only Einstein, he also invested in Edison as well. What? Shut the channel down. Yep. We just answered all the important questions. I can't with y'all sometimes. Why are y'all supporting Drew foolishness? Stop. I guess it's my fault for putting it up there. It's my fault for putting it up there. Yeah, and this is one of the things. Artificial light is required to build the labyrinth in, I can't say that word, Saqqara. Kemet definitely didn't build that either. So when you go inside the Great Pyramids, as I have, there's no ancient soot in there. And as a matter of fact, there's not enough oxygen to maintain a torch as you go up towards the king's chambers. So it's definitely not a burial site. They this is why I think the Baghdad battery is very important or something. Why didn't if they were doing it at their time frame, they would have had to have needed some type of artificial light source in order to build that damn thing. But that didn't happen yet. That's why they were built way prior. Now in the other ones, they have ancient soot, because they're built in such a way that it has enough air goes through it where you can maintain fires. Okay, Sakura, Sakura, Sakura. I almost got it right the first time. Almost. Chris, that we agree on. Flat earthers are the worst. I don't even entertain their conversations half 99% of the time. But another question: do you think that now that they see that there is empty space, but yet some type of structure, possibly some type of structure under there, that they will, and with it getting such a wide berth of people looking at it and talking about it, do you think that the Egyptian authorities are going to allow for more excavation of whatever's under the bird tomb, whatever's under the Giza plateau? Or do you think that they're going to do like they've done in the past and pretty much just shut it down? Put a fence around it, or they already got a fence around it, but put a gate and say, nah, well, we it's too dangerous or something like that. I just, so I only had like a few hours. So to put it in perspective, our ship was going back. So the first time our ship went through the Suez Canal, I had an asshole of a staff sergeant. He wouldn't let me go to Egypt. So on our way back though through the Suez Canal, um, because it takes a whole day to go through the Suez Canal, they were allowing some of us to fly over. So we went over to the Giza Plateau. We was there for a couple hours and then we left. So I just went to the Great Pyramids. So going back to Egypt is one of those things that is big time on my list. Um, Now, and let me put it in context. Going back and going there, I've been to Karnak on another trip, and I got to spend a couple of days in Karnak, and that's the Valley of the Kings and all that stuff. So it depends on the dollar; they'll shut it down, and it's going to do damage. I can agree with you. The closer you get to the truth, the more unbelievable it is. Yeah, the truth is actually stranger than friction. You stupid. Now, I said even before all that other stuff went down with West that I was already 50-50 on Billy. I would not. That's not the person. The person that I met one time when I was down in Karnak. Unfortunately, he's not alive anymore. Um, but James Allen West, that was the person that I went to Karnak with. If he was still alive and I had the opportunity, that's who I would want to go to Egypt with. Is James Allen West. He's the one who really pushed that the pyramids and the Sphinx, especially the Sphinx, is older. The whole water weathering was pushed uh, by West. But I think he passed away some years ago. But um, yeah, to go now, I'd probably just go on my own. I wouldn't necessarily want to go on someone's tour because I've had enough tour guides that want to tell me bullshit in different places. So, and I said James Allen West. I'd rather go with oh, it's John Allen West. It's been a long time. I'd rather go and just you know find out for myself. I haven't said this man's name in so long. I might be messing it up. I don't want y'all. John Anthony West. Sorry. Is that the right person? I can't see it. Yeah. So John Anthony West. I've been saying his name wrong tonight. So back in the 90s, is when I went on one of his a short little tour with before he started his big tour. I went on a tour with him, and that was just in Karnak though. I say they should allow their own archaeologists to do the work without outsiders. History tells us that certain people will discover things and then put them in their museum without giving credit. This is true, but one of the reasons why they're going to have outsiders is so that they can validate peer review. See, these lidar findings right now, they're still not acceptable in mainstream realms of scientists yet, because it has to go through peer review. This stuff was just recently done, the lidar, so now it's going through the process of peer review, which could take a year, 2 years, 3 years. So on the one hand, I understand what you're saying. You don't want people taking stuff out, but the way the Egyptians are right now, you, the average person ain't taking nothing outside that country, like they used to when the Brits and all of them would just go in there and take what they want and leave. Now, shit, you can't go down if you try to pick a rock up in Egypt and try to take that with you, you liable to get put into a room and ask a whole bunch of questions. They not bullshitting about people taking stuff out. You got to go through all kind of hoops to take anything out. Anything. I just wanted some dirt. I was like, because when we stopped in Morocco, I had got some dirt. I had some rocks, some shit, some seashells. I used to have the little water, but then they made me throw the water out. But I had some stuff. Anytime I went to anywhere to almost any country, I had rocks and stuff. But shit, Egypt, it wouldn't let me take nothing. I was like, if I wanted some dirt, I had to like go take a shower and try to collect the dust off my body. But yeah, you got to have outside people because you need peer review. We talked about that on a different line. The water erosion is on the backside of the Sphinx shows that it's much older. Yeah, it has to be at least 13,000 years old. When the last time the Sahara was green, but it is most likely older than that. Now the Templars really didn't take much out of Egypt. They were more in Jerusalem. Now the Greeks, the Ptolemies probably took a bunch of shit. Yeah, the Ptolemies probably took a bunch of stuff in this, what, 3rd century BCE? No, now if you buy something in a store, you're fine. But let's say you're walking around the Great Pyramid and you want to pick up a rock and take that rock with you. No, no, you ain't taking no rocks. But you buy something in the store, you're fine. Now, this is the hard part about Egyptologists is that yes, they won't. They need to keep people believing and following the exact same thing that they've always preached over and over again. If they find anything new, then and especially if it says anything about the Egyptian history, like if it literally says that no, the Giza plateau was built 20,000 years ago, 30,000 years ago, they're not going to accept that. They want it to be built during one of the kingdom. They want Khufu to be the builder of it because it keeps it within their history of when their people, what they claim to be their people, being there. No, and you're right. If you want to see two of the largest Egyptian, and this is in the 90s, but in the 90s, two of the largest Egyptian what are you talking, galleries or whatever exhibits that I've seen was at the Louvre in France and at the British History Museum. Those two places got the absolute largest I've ever seen as far as back in the 90s are concerned. Now I haven't seen that. I have to look that one up. 800,000. That's long. Here's my thought. Hmm. I don't know who that person is. I'm gonna have to look that up because I'm telling you, John Anthony, he was very helpful in a lot of my thought processes, in some of my thought processes back in the '90s, and more in the '90s, a lot of people had never heard him, but because I was reading archaeology magazines and stuff and reading papers. Okay, I just put that name in there, otherwise I won't remember it. And then, of course, in uh, the 2000s and 2010s, when I started seeing his videos pop up on YouTube, it was very helpful as well. No, no. Peer review is not just a group of people agreeing with one another. In all honesty, the hardest thing for me about peer review is that a lot of them seem like they intentionally, like I've made up my mind that I'm going to be against whatever the hell you wrote, and so they look for negative things. So now, when it comes to the Bible, apologists don't do peer review. They go into it already agreeing with whatever some scholar has said. But this is why these secular uh, religious study people are the ones who are like, hell no, y'all don't know what y'all talking about. Y'all mistranslating this and you're mistranslating that. Um, you're lying about, this, that, and the third. Well, see, when I didn't get to go to Egypt, going through the Suez Canal first time, and it well, so let me rephrase it. I didn't get to go to Egypt, so I had to go. I went to Saudi Arabia, and you went to these little family houses on one of their little compound. But then when we got around um, into the Persian Gulf, I had a chance to go to Mecca, and it was interesting to watch and to see these people in Mecca. But at that time frame, I was investigating Islam, so I was curious. Okay, so two Ukrainian geologists, yeah, MV and AG studied the age of the Sphinx by their estimate. The water damage is over 800,000 years old of erosion. Damn, that's old. That's old. That's some old. Um, hold on here. Hold on, young man. The reason why y'all don't see me smoking a cigar because we've smoked up our entire budget, so we don't have any cigars until the next time we get paid, which won't be till next week. If you would have sent the 10,000 that you was talking about, young man, I could have had some cigars tonight. But I don't have any cigars, and now I'm about to go through cigar withdrawal because I won't have a cigar probably till next week. What happened to my 10 G's, bro? Even if you had sent 1 G, I could have some cigars. Cigars are about $10 a pop for me. And to make it to next week, let's see, me and my wife smoke cigars. We both smoke cigars together, so $10 a pop. So it's about what, 7 days? Need at least 3 a day, 4 a day. I mean, four of them, so that she had two, I had two. Oh man. So yeah, we need about 300 $300 there, young man, a week. I can go get enough cigars to last me the next week. What happened to my 10 G's, young man? What happened to them? Anyway, is there evidence of people underneath the pyramids, or is there evidence of Jesus' bloodline? There's no evidence of Jesus' bloodline, and there's just evidence that there's something, some empty space and possible structures. There's some structures underneath, but it wasn't under, not under the pyramids. Is not where we were looking. The lidar was underneath the bird. Shit, what is it called? It was over here to the side, under the Temple of the Birds or the Centauri. What is it called? What was it called again, Boondocks? Bruh, look, we need to raise $300 tonight. We need to raise $300 tonight. You want to keep me from going through cigar withdrawals? We need $300 tonight. We need to raise $300 tonight because I ain't got no cigars. We got one cigar in the house, but my wife has to let that cigar mature for a little while longer. Try going a week with no weed. You know, there's a cigar named that. I think it has that name. I used to sell it. I had that. I think I sold that cigar brand. There's a cigar it's either that name or it's very similar to that name. Uh, no, sir. I do not smoke $25 cigars unless it's a special occasion. And oftentimes there are $10, $12 cigars that I find out are better than most $20 cigars. You know, now that Pappy Van Winkle, that's a good cigar. I spend that $18, $20 on that one. No, young man, you said you were gonna send 10 G's. I'll go, and now I'm without cigars because of you. Oh, maybe you meant 25 each, right? Like 25 cigars for me, 25 for my wife. Yes, yes, yes. If that's what you meant. Hondurans are real nice, real nice. Got a nice little pepper to them, little cocoa, little baker spice. Yes. Look at y'all. Y'all so easy to get off subject. Talk about cigars and weed. So the cigar drive, so that me and my wife can go and have cigars this week. That's why there's no smoke in the air. This don't even feel right. I don't even feel like I'm doing the live right because there's no cigars. The room don't even smell right. It just smells like room. It smells like Texas. Because there's so no, one cigar is only $10. It's only $10 for us most of the time. They range. We buy $7 and $10 and $12 cigars. The Lord has blessed me, and I'm here to tell you that. You know, that used to work on me when I was a Christian. That really used to work on me when I was Christian. And you know, I was like, okay, I'm gonna be the best Christian I possibly can be. You know, it's in my heart to be the best Christian. I'm gonna do this thing. You know, I ain't gonna be like the young rich ruler, just following the commands. I'm gonna be willing to give what I need to give because I'm giving from my heart. I'm not gonna have attachments to material things. I was doing that thing, preaching His word and everything. I was doing it, and I realized that anytime something happened budget wise, financially, that wasn't going right, most of the time it was because of a decision that I made or a decision that somebody else made and the company got shut down or they sold the company and then the new company come in and got some nepotism. Nah, God ain't got nothing to do with none of that stuff. Not one of those things. Yeah, God has nothing to do with nothing that happens in your life. Everything that happens in your life is decisions you make or a decision that other people make that has influence within your life. Say, is there massive religious persecution oppression in Eastern religions like Buddhism as there is in Western? What do you mean, hand omega? Like, are people persecuting the Eastern religions? And I don't think anybody's persecuting any of the main religions like Christianity and Islam. Those aren't being persecuted. Um, what? I was a drug addict, and they got that NA cult. What's an NA cult? But this is if I'm understanding Eric right, and I just read the first. I read like the first couple of lines and think I understand all of it, and then have to read the whole thing. Uh, you have people that review things for its authenticity. Those people that agree with their findings. Those people have to have people that agree with their findings. There are those that don't agree. You have people that have studied, reviewed the Bible to find truth or it's false that makes it non-authentic. You have to break those people into different groups, those that agree and those that don't. All things are backed by facts and lies. Peer review is nothing more than that. It just, if it makes sense. No, I understand what you're saying. And the hardest thing about doing peer review is to not come into it with an already made up mind of a theology or a doctrine. The best peer reviewers are the ones who simply look at the facts. That is why I don't accept any peer review from any apologist because theirs is not. Oh, you mean the religions? There have been instances where you've had Buddhists who have persecuted other townspeople and other religions like Muslims or Hindus. I mean, you always going to have some. Um, there were old stories of a long time ago, decades ago, where Buddhist monks were um, literally injuring people who didn't participate in their religion in nearby towns over, in the east. But it's not as rampant as some people will make you think. But more persecution comes from Islam and Christianity than any other religion. But it does happen. You do have some Hindus and Muslims who fight each other over in India. Young man, that is an impossibility. So I'm not even going to concern myself with that. You know, there is an impossibility to convert me over or back into Christianity. I can tell you that right off the bat. It's an impossibility. Um, you have a better chance of converting me over to the Gnostics than the Christianity. Like If you want to still call Gnosticism Christianity, like Gnostic Christianity, you have a better chance of moving me to Gnostic Christianity than you have a chance of moving me to Christianity. Because at least the Gnostics look at the Old Testament God as an evil God. Uh, I can give them that credit. But even in Gnosticism, it has some things that are lacking, and it just the thing about Jesus being not the God or the Trinity, but just being a divine being himself is like, no, it's not going to work. So to having, if I have to accept any of the Old Testament, no, that's not going to work. No. And then you got to have some facts. You got to have something to prove. And see, I couldn't be a Gnostic because the Jesus of the Bible never existed. That version of Jesus, I don't know, that motherfucker never existed. So that's not going to work. And then how are you going to prove that this God even exists? So then you got to get me to the hump over the idea that God or the Plamora. I could get down with the Plamora until you start breaking down the Plamora to the Sophia and to the Demiurge, and then it's like, no. But if you just want to give me a big fucking energy source, just a big thing of energy, sure. You know what, Sean? You got a good point. Compared to somebody else, young man is a treasure to hold because he can form a complete sentence and don't try to use personal attacks. So I give him credit. No, with the God of the Bible, there's absolutely nothing that is possible with me. And I say with me because I have no belief in him. It does not exist. So therefore, anything that is manifested in my life, it is manifested because of decisions I've made or decisions that people around me have made or people who have influence over my life have made. The Jesus character is one of many itinerant preachers at that time frame. Some died, most didn't. Yeah. And Hand of Omega makes a good point. But if God won't talk to me or confirm that he is not as evil as he is in the Bible, I have no reason to worship him. And if God is truly a good God, then he would not still require me to worship him. Because why would that God ever needs worship? Why would he require worship? He shouldn't need any worship. Oh, wait, so you want to bribe me? Is that what the G's were? It was a bribe. I raised my bet to 20G that I told you that on that day you'll give your life to the Lord. What are you talking about? On the day that I die? I will bet you the entirety of the inheritance that I leave, that won't happen. That will not happen. Okay, so who is the one and only Almighty God? Based on what? How are you defining the one and only Almighty God? Because if it's based on anything from the Torah, then you're talking about Judaism. If you're based on anything that's from the Christian Bible, then it's Christianity. And you can hide it and say, no, it's not Christian. But if it's based on belief in Jesus, it's Christian. If it's based on belief in El, then you're talking about Judaism. If Armenia is one of the oldest Christians, and they are on the near the foothills of these Caucasus Mountains, and they are so in the so-called the Greeks and people of the Caucasus region migrated to the Middle East. It is safe to say that Christianity is a religion specific of people that of that region that spread to the Middle East and didn't originate there. No. So the Armenia is just the first nation to declare themselves Christians in 301. They are not the oldest Christians. There were plenty of Christians that came out of the Levant long before them. Christianity had already spread to every corner of the Roman Empire by 301, by the time Armenia declared themselves a Christian nation. So you have to just understand that they are not the oldest Christian. They're just the oldest Christian nation, right? They were the first one to uh, canonize their book outside of first nation to canonize a book, whereas you still had canons that existed before them. Those canons are not the same as the canons that Athanasius winds up getting his way with. But so no, it still started out as a religion in the Levant created by the Romans, based on the prophecies of Judaism. But yeah, it would be. What are y'all talking about? Y'all talking about big ass needles and dashing people? Is it based on this one? The greatest trick that ever fooled was to convince people to worship him as God. I would say that, but except the fact that there is no devil. But there's no way I could go back. I could do. But young man never like. So yeah, that historical character is my grandfather. So you're talking about Jesus is your the historical character that makes up Jesus is your grandfather. God damn, you've been living a long time, my guy. Your that means your grandfather. That means your father, and then your father had to live a long ass time. No problem, Eric. No problem. I guess you're talking to me. Yeah, that is okay. Well, that was your comment. I remember. Um, but yeah, if he's coming from any of those Abrahamic religions, it always makes me wonder why people. I mean, I know why. They want to disassociate themselves with Christianity because the evil history of Christianity, what people have done in the name of Christianity. But they're all doing this thing based on the book that inspires Christianity, which is the Bible. But yet they don't want to be Christian no more. But you are Christian. If you believe any of the deities from that book, then you are a Christian. If you believe from the Bible, you believe in Jesus, you're Christian. Simple as that. As simple as that. I would go and believe in Zeus before I believe in Jesus and the God of the Bible. At least Zeus is straight up. He angry, he jealous. He gonna come have sex with your mom. Oh damn, that sounds like Yahweh. See how I did that? See how I did that? No, but if I had to pick a god, if it came down to something like, oh, on your deathbed, you have to pick a god, or you see God, who is that God going to be? It's still not going to be the Christian God. You understand what I'm saying? Like if I have that moment where I'm like, oh, and I see some light, and I think it's a God and everything, I'm more apt to think, oh, it must be, Oramare, or Chechua. It must be one of the gods from my ancestry. It damn sure I wouldn't sit there and be like, it's Jesus. That's not gonna happen. If I had that moment, it will be my ancestral gods, but not Jesus. Right. It might be Oshun. right? It might be Oshun. That I had a Ephah priest who said that. Well, we did a little reading thing, and they said that my Orisha is Eshu. So I'm more apt to be like, oh, it is Eshu, but it ain't gonna be Jesus. And of course, if I see the noodles and the Parmesan wheel, the spirit of the Parmesan wheel sprinkling down, then I know it is these flying spaghetti monster on Saturn. Definitely. But I will not, it will not be, oh, Jesus. You know, if SU does show up, we gonna it's gonna be a good time. Yeah, I'm gonna be. I did study a little bit about EFI. Um, yep, you should have been here last Monday, Chris, when we talked about that. Last Monday's live started around 1 hour into last Monday's live, and we went all up into that. Oh yeah, Jack State when I was 17, still in high school, going to college parties, go to Jack State, and they was doing the butt. Ain't had no business in there because I was too young. That's what it's gonna be. Sexy, sexy. Ow. When you get that notion, put your back field in motion. How you doing? All right. Of course, he's not going to give a name. You see, if he gave a name, then he would paint himself into a corner. And within that corner, you would be able to challenge the stupidity that he continues to espouse. Because literally, it does become stupid and not ignorant when a person says that the character who the Bible is based on is his grandfather. So for 2,000 years, out of a 2,000 year span, you are the third generation. That goes beyond ignorance. No. So the best way to do it is to either go to the YouTube page and go to the live playlist, and you'll see last Monday. Um, or you can keep go to videos for YouTube and see what last Monday's live based on the date. A little shameless plug here. Appreciate the shameless plug there, Sean. That he loved the video that I did yesterday, I believe, on how it's not possible for you to be able to sell your soul. Shameless plug that you all should go and watch that video. I got the song in your head now. Don't feel bad. I do that all the time. I did that to my wife the other day. She was mad. And then as soon as she got the song out of her head, I put it right back in. Uh, you know what? That is an amazing statement. Matter of fact, let me read that out loud. Get my reading voice on here. Isn't it ironic that dead men don't tell tales? Yet there are yet they are the only ones who knows the truth. I don't care whether God exists or not. The truth is nobody knows until after death. So I'ma just focus on being a good human. Holla, coach. I like that. That was a good statement. I like that. I could have practiced that a couple times before I read it, but that was a great statement because we don't know. And the best thing that we should do is try to be the greatest version of ourselves and elevate our consciousness as high as we possibly can. You know, yeah. Well, I don't necessarily. The For me, the consciousness would be the equivalency of a soul. I know my consciousness exists because I'm conscious right now. Now, how it's created and stuff, that's a whole nother story. You know, you would think so. If you were actually creating a good God, right, that had this reward for people, then the only thing that they would need to get into heaven is just to be a good person, to care for their fellow man, to not do anything against other people that they wouldn't want done to themselves. Basically, follow the golden rule. If you was creating a good God, that would be the basis of it. You wouldn't need to worship this God. You wouldn't have to do ceremonies and rituals and have all this other bullshit. All it would require is saying, "Hey, I'm God. I got heaven. I got total oblivion, not hell, just oblivion. If you treat everybody else how you desire to be treated, don't ever take someone's agency away from them. You get to come and live in heaven. But if you go against that, you just get totally obliterated. You cease to exist. There is no goal. There's nothing for you. Are y'all playing around with my slogan? You got to free yourself to be yourself. But can you be yourself to free yourself? No, you can't, because from the moment that you were born, you began to be indoctrinated in so many different ways. Not just religiously, but you was also indoctrinated into a nation, indoctrinated to a race, into gender, into a family situation, into a culture. You were indoctrinated into so many ideas of how you're supposed to be that truly most people don't live a life that is true to themselves. We are the compilation of multiple indoctrinations. So that's why you have to free yourself. And then you can determine and you decide who you're going to be. That's not gonna happen. He's not gonna do it, Boondocks. He's not gonna do it. You would think he would, because then he would. Oh, here you go, Boondocks. He said the I am. So you Jewish, you Israel. He is the great I am. You're not God. You can't tell Oh gosh, I don't know the object there. Sometimes when y'all put objects in, uh, it doesn't come all the way through. I don't know if it's iPhones versus Androids or if it's just Facebook or whatever, but sometimes the objects don't come through. If it's a God that want me to worship it or believe in it, I very well am going to tell that God what to think. Because if I can be more moral than the God, then why would I believe? Why should I believe in that God or worship that God? You understand what I'm saying? So, like, I'm way more moral than the God of the Bible. Way more moral. My morality is way better. If I was had the privilege of being the God of this incarnation of the universe, and I was given Earth, and I'm making Earth, I'm going to make it in such a way that it is easily done. I'm going to make it so that everything is scientifically verifiable, and I'm going to give man very simple rules, and no slavery would be one of them, and everybody is treated equally, and we don't kill babies and all this other stuff. Yeah, I'm not going to give them all the bullshit that this guy does. Okay, why you just say so? All this time you're going around in circles and stuff. Yeah, so there's no way on my deathbed I would turn to that evil ass God Yahweh. That's not. I turned to Jesus before I turned to the evil God Yahweh. And I'm talking about the Gnostic version of Jesus, not the Christian version of Jesus. Oh, young man, so I got a question for you. This ain't got nothing to do with you personally. So, about earlier this month, had some people come in from Houston. We took them out to this bar, right, where they was having a bike night. You know, we had cigars on the patio. Then two Hebrew Israelites come in, two Jewish men. And they came in, they was checking out the women, and then they was getting some drinks. Then they were drinking, and they had a few drinks and checking out the women. Are y'all allowed to do that? I'm just curious. Are y'all allowed to do that? I'm honestly being curious about that. Oh, so it's the phone that sometimes people objects don't come through. Okay. Yeah, I'm with your hand over Omega. Oftentimes, the people within the religion are way more moral than the God that they are worshiping. Their gods are filled with the man, and one of the main reasons is because their God is based on the morality of the people at the time frame that the God was being written about, i.e., created. And then as we move forward in time, their culture, a lot of their moralities that they thought was good, we've grown to know that they're not. So even when you're looking at like the Indus religion, or yeah, well, the Indus religion is a good one. Some of the ways the stories are told and the rules and stuff, they were not fair to women and had caste systems involved in it. But now we've moved past that. So the morality of the people who practice that religion is better than the morality of the story that was written back then. Oh, that's because the Jesus story is a big fish story. It gets bigger and bigger. When you if you were to sit down and compare and write out all the miracles in each book, you'll see that the older the book, the bigger the miracles, the more miracles happen. I don't know. Did he ever answer whether or not them Hebrew Israelites supposed to have been at the bar drinking that heavy poison? because they wasn't drinking mild poison. They wasn't drinking wine. They were drinking liquor. He was drinking some liquor. Oh yeah, yeah. They were drinking some devil juice. What is the deal with pork? Pork is nasty. Yeah, although I will have some bacon double cheeseburger though when I'm eating some of that. Wine ain't poison. Wine is mild poison. It's mild poison. There ain't nothing. I drink it though, as long as it's sweet. Don't like that dry stuff. Look, I ain't eating no pork chops or ham hog or hog head cheeses and all that nasty stuff. But you give me, if I'm making me a burger with some bacon, got some breakfast. Hold on. I thought people be texting me. Um, Sorry about that. Ham tastes good, bacon tastes good. Wine ain't fine. I don't know if y'all can see each other. Oh yeah, y'all can see each other. Y'all on the same one. But anyway, yeah, we now went so far away from subject matters, but it's okay. I wasn't expecting y'all to stay long on that one because this stuff is still very much in the early stages. We got a long way to go before we really start finding out what this lidar information is going to be truly about. But I do find it interesting. I look forward to it. I do look forward to more information being found. Hopefully, they can stop utilizing, stop using politics to stop information from going down, from coming out. But I know that they're not. Um, but it is time for me to get off tonight because I got some work to do. I have work to do. That's why I'm getting this text. That's why I'm being texted right now because I got work to do from my client. So, got to get to my client. It's been a great time talking to you guys tonight. We will be here tomorrow night at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I have no idea what the subject matter is going to be about yet, but I'm pretty sure it will be exhilarating. And, we need some cigars for tomorrow night. So we need some cigars for tomorrow night. I need all 46 of y'all that's on here to go send that $10 for the cigars, for so I can have some, so we can, so me and my wife can have some cigars for tomorrow night. So everybody, all 46, and now somebody tried to drop real quick. All 45 of y'all send $10 because I need some cigars. See, I'm not being like the pastor lying to y'all. Okay, we 46 now. I'm not being like the pastor and lying to y'all. I need all 46 of y'all to send $10 so I can go get some cigars that'll last through the next week. So $10. I need cigars. So y'all have a great night, and always remember, you have to free yourself to be yourself because your greatness is non-negotiable. Good journey, good vibrations. $10 each one of y'all.